Cover this car market now on almost a daily basis. I do these live streams with you. I'm a used car dealer. I am living it. But guess what? I can be wrong. So what I thought was going to happen in this car market over the course of the summer, the next few months, was we were going to be business as usual as far as the car market is concerned. And typically, what happens in the car market is we have this just slow churn of prices going down. We get our big bump for tax selling season. I talked about that way too much. But we had this slow churn that goes out through the summer. And actually, some cars that we bought recently, I've got in front of me. And later on in this video, I'm going to tell you what we've been buying, how much we paid for them, and what we plan on selling them for in our at our used car dealership. So we'll do that later on in the video. But what I really want to talk about is what's going on right now, what I'm seeing right now at these auctions on the wholesale level. And it's different than what I had anticipated. So, what I thought was going to happen throughout the course of the summer is that, okay, auctions would be light, meaning that a lot of these new car dealers weren't selling a whole lot of vehicles, and we would be basically in this standstill point where, okay, prices would slowly go down because a lot of the used car dealers aren't selling a lot of vehicles either, so prices would still be able to go down, but not in a big way, because there's just not going to be the inventory. But turns out I've been wrong about that for the last at least week or so. And can be a couple elements. One could be something that's more long term, and another one could be short term, but I'll talk about that in just a second. But what I've seen over the auctions in the last week or so is that there have been a lot more vehicles that have actually shown up at these used car dealer auctions, at least the ones that we've been going to. And how these cars get to these dealer auctions is from trade-ins, and the way that car dealers get trade-ins is from selling new cars to people who want to trade in their old cars. So this is kind of bucking the trend of what we've been seeing, because a lot of these new car dealers, they haven't been able to move cars. So just, I mean, I've been one to report on this because this is what we've been hearing from franchise dealers. This is what we're seeing in the numbers. But I'm going to be the first one to tell you that if I see something different, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm seeing. So the couple things that could be going on right now to let us see that there's more cars coming through auction, meaning that that dealers could be selling more cars right now. Well, one could be the fact, and this is more of a short-term thing, is that, okay, we had these shutdowns from the CDK, the software that shut down a lot of these dealerships, and even though they were able to still sell cars, they weren't moving their inventory through their system. So that means they could have been holding on to trade-ins for the last couple weeks. This might be a scenario, and in that case, it's probably business as usual. And maybe I wasn't wrong. It's just we have this backlog of cars that weren't sent to the auction. But typically, dealers don't hold cars for paperwork reasons. Many times we get cars that come to these auctions that they traded in like 1 or 2 days before, even if they don't have the title on hand, even if they haven't finished processing whatever that new car that they were selling, they'll just go ahead and send the car straight to the auction. So I don't really think this is the scenario. Now, we've recently gone through a holiday week. And so maybe we had some increased sales from that. We know that there's more incentives coming through. We know that all these add-ons, you don't have to pay anymore. So it might be that the consumer is actually coming in and starting to buy some of these new cars. We're not seeing it in the numbers yet. I'm just really showing you what I'm seeing at auction. But what I am seeing is, because there's more cars coming through the auction in the last couple weeks, is that prices on the wholesale level, the used car level, are going down. And what I have predicted is that there's just going to be this slow churn throughout the rest of the summer, where prices just slowly go down because, from what I've seen, demand is down. And that means that these used car dealers would not want to buy as many vehicles, pushing prices down, even though we didn't have the inventory. But if you have that scenario playing out, where you also have more used inventory entering the system, then you're going to have not just a slow churn, you're going to have more of kind of a dump that comes through on the used car price side. And I have really some proof of that right here from just the cars that we've bought over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And it's something that I'm very interested to see how it plays out, and I hope it's more of a long-term thing, because really what we need to fix this car market is, at least on the used car side, is not necessarily for prices to go down right now. We need more transactions to happen. So the way that the used car market is fixed is for us to get more inventory. The way we get more inventory is that more transactions on the new car side start to happen. And the only way that really I see that happens is for monthly payments to go down. So a lot of shoppers for new cars, they don't shop for the price of the car. That doesn't matter to them. They go in and say, okay, I can afford $500 a month. What can you put me in? For those monthly payments to come down, you either need MSRPs to come down on the new car dealer side, which we've seen that they're not really willing to do. In Ford's case, is a lot of the new vehicles that are coming out, their MSRPs are actually higher. That's not going to help the market at all. You can have interest rates go down. That would help monthly payments, which we're seeing that, okay, there's a prediction that September, later on this year, that the Fed's going to start pulling back the rates. But the problem with that is they're not going to do it very quickly. They're probably going to, the first rate cut's going to be probably 25 basis points. So that's not really going to help in quickly. Whenever they start, it's not really going to have any material difference. But what we have seen is for these dealerships to get more people in cars is, from what I'm very scared about, is them extending these loans. So on the new car side, that's scary, because I mean, some of these cars, they're this is up to your own personal opinion, but they might not be made as well as prior years. So people are worried that maybe with extending these loans, these cars might not even last as long as they need to fulfill these loans. Now, I think this probably going to be a non-factor. I think the cars that they're making right now are probably going to be just fine. I know we have a lot of recalls coming out of Ford. We have a lot of quality issues that are happening throughout the car market. So we'll just play a waiting game and see, but we're not going to see that really work through the system for years and years and years. But the other issue with extending the loans is that, okay, you're going to have even more and more negative equity. And that's one of the big problems that we're seeing with a lot of these car dealers, is that they're seeing customers come in that have so much negative equity that's making it hard for them to roll it into the next car, to get them into the next car. But a way that they can fight that is by extending the loans again. So it's like, okay, we have a bad thing, so to fix it, we extend the loans, and then we make the problem even worse by extending the loans. But you know what? To fix that problem, but to put a Band-Aid on that problem, well, we just extend the loans again. So this is a big issue, and at some point, it's just absolutely got to stop. But just getting back to the main theme of this video, of me thinking that there was going to be a slow trend down, but now I'm starting to shift my way of thinking to think that we are going to get some kind of big kind of pressure downward, at least on the wholesale side. Now I see this all the time in the comments. I cover the wholesale market. I'm at the auctions. I look at wholesale prices a lot. But that might not mean anything to the retail buyer. So here's what's got to play out for you to see a difference on the retail side, because wholesale, retail, completely different. What I can buy a car for at auction might not mean anything to you, because whatever I want to price the car out, that's going to be the price of the car. But here's where you're going to see some help on the retail side. If you have other car dealers like myself that move with the market, we are actually going to be the ones that are going to push down the market. Now, there are not a lot of them out there like me, but shoppers, they look for prices for cars online. So if you have enough of me's out there that are pricing the cars off of what we paid for them and not what we were able to get for them 6 months ago, then that's going to create more pressure on the other car dealers to be able to lower their prices. But all of this takes time. I used the example for lowering prices on the retail side, just like housing. So if you have someone who prices their house for way too much money, and they get no buyers, no bids, they have even no showings. Then a month from then, they're like, okay, well, obviously we're priced wrong, so let's lower it by 10%. But the problem with that and with the car market and these dealers is, well, maybe that house, maybe that car was priced 30% higher than what it needed to be anyway. So it's going to take 3 months for that dealer, or in the example of the homeowner, to be able to, okay, say, it's not good at this, let's lower it by 10%. Wait a month, it's not good here, lower it by 10%. Okay, it's not good here, lower it by 10%. And then we start getting attention on the car, or you start getting attention on the house. And that's why it takes so long, even when wholesale prices will start to get hammered or go down in any capacity, for you to start seeing any kind of difference on the retail side. It's going to take months. You're either going to have dealers that are in trouble because of their floor plans, because of their interest that they have to pay, because they're not selling cars, because they're not cheap enough. That's going to force them to lower prices, or just the sheer fact that, okay, they're not moving cars. And after a month, a lot of dealers, okay, they'll say, okay, well, we need to lower a little bit. Let's get some stuff moved. And that's what's going to have to happen in this market, even when the wholesale price is go down for the retail side, for you to see it as a consumer. But let's get into what I've bought recently, and you can see some of these prices that we're paying. And I mean, just see that prices, at least for the stuff that I'm buying. I know I talk about it a lot, but you can see the numbers and see that they're coming down. So we bought a 2005 Honda Accord, and we paid $2,100 for that one. Buyer fee was $285. All these cars that I'm going to be talking to you about, they all have a buyer fee on it. What it is that's just the fee that I pay to the auction every time I buy a car to be able to buy that car at that auction. And the fees are going to be pretty much similar on similar price cars. Now, different auctions have different fees, but they're somewhat close to each other. So this one's a $2,100 car, paid $285. There's another car down here that we stole that was $1,000. I'll tell you what that car was in just a minute, but we paid $195 on that. So you can think as the price goes up, fees go up. It's not by a percentage of the car. It's really just a tiered system. So for every probably $500, the tier of fee goes up just a little bit. But 2005 Honda Accord, paid $2,100 for it. $285 buyer fee. We're going to sell it. If it's perfect, probably $3,500 is what we'll do it. And most of these cars that we're getting in, we're going to have to do something to it. We're going to have to fix a wheel bearing, O2 sensor, something to get it inspected. What we'll see a lot during the summer is that the ACs they aren't cold, so we have to either charge them. Hopefully, we only have to charge them. A lot of them we have to put compressors in, but that's something, especially in the middle of summer where we are in North Carolina. It's like 95 degrees right now, so AC has to work if we're going to sell a car, even if it's a $3,000 car. No one's going to buy a car in 95-degree weather if the AC is not working. Bought a 2009 Toyota Corolla, paid $2,500 for that one. It's going to be a $3,500, $4,000 car, somewhere around there. We bought a 2013 BMW X1. So we typically don't buy BMWs, Mercedes, any of these highline cars unless they're just a really good deal. And Alex likes BMWs. He is actually driving one himself, so he knows how to work on them. So he'll buy those a lot more than I will because he knows what he's getting into. Alex is my mechanic, and he also buys a lot of cars for me. But we paid $2,200 for that car. So whenever we get it ready, I know that they were saying it had like a miss in it, a little issue or whatever that they had to fix. It's probably going to be a $4,000 car because we're going to have to put some money into it to fix whatever's going on with it. This is the one that I'm really surprised about, and these are the kind of cars, not the BMW, but the next one. I bought a 2008 Toyota Camry, and we only paid $1,000 for it. So these are the kind of cars that get me excited about what's going on in the market right now, because 6 months ago, that car was not going to fall through the cracks and just not have a dealer around bidding on it. So this auction that we went to, it's got 4 lanes. So what can happen is that if a car like this, if there aren't dealers around that buy in our kind of range because maybe they're tapped out, they didn't even come to the auction, then a car like that can go through the lane, and literally Alex would be the only one that bid on it. And I can tell you, he probably put one finger up, which meant $1,000, and no one else bid on that car. It rolled out, and then the seller sold it to him. So this used to happen all the time where we would just absolutely steal cars, and we would be able to sell something like, I mean, this is it's $1,000. We got $200 buyer fee. We'll have inspection. If there's something else, we'll have to do on it. I'll have a little bit more money in it, detailing, things like that. We'll probably be able to sell it for $2,500, $3,000 at the end of the day, and somebody can buy a 2008 Toyota Camry for that kind of price, and that gets me excited. So we've had a rough time over the last 3 years being able to find cars for our niche. So we were selling a lot less cars in the last few years than we had in 2019. In 2019, we were averaging like probably 85, 90 cars a month. And then since all the craziness happened, we dropped down to probably where we were averaging between 60 to 70 cars a month that we were selling. So I think with more cars entering into the spectrum of cars that we can buy because prices are getting lower, and we're able to buy more of those mid-range cars now because they're getting cheaper, then I feel like our business is right on the verge of exploding back to that bigger number where we could even sell 50% more cars than what we're selling right now, just because we have cars available. If I had $2,500, $3,500 cars that I could sell on my lot, I would sell them all day long. It's just we can't. I mean, it's hard to find them, and when we get them and they're good cars, we sell them immediately, and that's what I'm looking forward to, and I think that's where we're going in this car market. So I'll read you a couple more cars that we bought, and then we'll jump over here to questions. So if you got any questions, throw them in. I'm gonna try to get to a couple when I'm get done with this. We bought a 2005 GMC Envoy. And we paid $900 for that. That's another. Actually, I didn't read this list before I opened up, so that's another great price. And that's going to be a $2,000, a $2,500 car. We haven't been able to buy cars for under $1,000 in recent memory, and it just, I mean, you can tell how excited I am about this. Just reading cars that I didn't know we even bought in the last week. We bought another 2007 Toyota Camry. Paid $1,900 for it. It'd be a $3,500 car. You know what? We'll cut it off at that one right there. So let's go to the chat and answer this one. Would now be a good time to buy a good used car? So what we've seen now is that, okay, all these added fees that a lot of dealers have been able to charge over the last 3 years because there was a massive shortage. Those fees you don't have to pay anymore. So I would say cautiously, yes. I would say that you could go and look for a car right now, but most dealers are not going to be able to sell for a good deal. Maybe an individual, and I would even rather you buy from an individual than buy from a dealer. Don't buy a car from me. Don't buy a car from a used car dealer. Buy a car from an individual. That way you can know the history on the car, the maintenance. But because the market has come down a little bit, you can still get a better deal later on. If you can wait, you'll get a better deal than you can right now. So if you need a car right now, I would say, okay, you can probably find a good deal out there, but it's going to be really hard. But if you wait 3 or 4 months, it's going to progressively get easier to find a better deal. But the longer you can wait, the better off you're going to be, in my opinion. Maybe dealers keep high prices waiting for Powell's interest rate reduction to spur buy. I don't think that has anything to do with them just hanging on to inventory. They're on floor plans. They have a ticking time clock that's going on right now. They got to get rid of cars. So Powell's not coming in to help them with the interest rate cuts. And when Powell starts cutting interest rates, it's going to take a long time, and it's going to be very, very slow. Tesla is the negative equity king. Everyone's upside down in those. So what has happened with Tesla over the last couple of years is that, especially if you bought one used, a lot of these people that were buying used Teslas because you couldn't get them new, there was a back order or whatever, they were paying higher prices for the used ones than even the new ones. We saw this in some of the ICE vehicles too. But in particular, a lot of these Teslas. And yeah, people who bought them used a couple of years ago and now the prices have dropped. Elon's price cut, price cut, price cut. We got Hertz that have dumped a lot of them into the system. We have dealers that are just trying to get rid of them because there's the price is so volatile. Then we have just the price crush on a lot of these EVs, especially Tesla. And you're seeing that there's a lot of people. We just put out a video yesterday showing that negative equity, the average negative equity among EV drivers is greater than the negative equity on the average ICE vehicle. So that's what we're seeing definitely right now. Um, when you buy a car at a dealership, do you tell them you own a dealership? Now, I've only bought recently one car from another dealership. I tried to buy like 2 or 3 others from another dealership just because I couldn't find them at auction. Yeah, I do, because I feel like they're going to maybe not try to give me the whole spiel or whatever. Like they know what I'm doing as far as buying a car. If I'm going in there and telling them, hey, I'm a used car dealer, so I would like to buy it from you wholesale. A lot of them won't do that, but at least they know at that point that, oh, okay, they're not going to get one over on me. They're not going to be able to charge me any kind of add-on or anything like that. I'm going to tell them, okay, I know how much this car should be selling for, and I need to get it for this amount. And when I went and recently bought a new Honda for my wife to drive, we bought a van. I was able to go in, and the negotiation literally lasted like 4 or 5 minutes. I said, okay, I've done my research. I'm a used car dealer, and I talked to some other brokers. I know what they're getting these cars for. I know that I can get 10% off of MSRP on this van right now. And if you won't sell to me, that's absolutely fine. I'll go to another dealership. And we even started to walk out after we said that. Went into the sales manager, came right back out, and basically gave us exactly what we were asking for. I don't know if that had anything to do with me being a used car dealer. Maybe it did, but I would like to think that me just having my information and me knowing that I was able to get it for that price, and I was also willing to walk, was probably the stronger, the well, I mean, what the stronger tool, the bigger tool to use in the negotiation process, and it was absolutely fine. So maybe it had something to do with me being a used car dealer and them knowing that. But I would like to think that anyone can do that, even if you're not a used car dealer. You can go in, you can negotiate, say this is my price, and then I'm going to leave if I don't get it. All right, I think we're done. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment, and do all the things. And thank you so much for watching.